Well, hello. Not sure how many people are going to show up, but I am here for the Victorian Colorathon. And I thought that I would do a bit of Sherlock Holmes and the Hound of the Baskervilles is what I am planning on doing this evening. I have been working in this for quite a while, um, basically probably for almost 2 years. I think I showed it during March Mystery Madness at least 2 years ago. But what I really love about this book is this book has so many interesting um, things that you can do with it. And one of the things is tons of male faces, and I love being able to show that. I also like that it is in a graphic novel style, and as you can see, hi Crafty K, thanks for coming in. What I love about it is that it has so many different pictures, but yet it's tough because the pictures are again and again repeated. So hi Nick and Tina, thank you for joining. That's awesome. I was just going through saying that this is the book I was going to kind of do. So if anybody has seen recently, I posted another version of Sherlock and Holmes, but instead it was Herlock and Holmes, Herlock Holmes and Watson. And keeping up with the Victorian idea, I thought, hey, what the heck? I would go ahead and show you what I've been working on, as I said earlier, for actually a couple of years now. This is my go-to book for when I'm traveling. Absolutely love it. And I can take it just about anywhere with me. So it's lovely to see you, Joe Bath. Thank you. So happy everybody came over. So basically, the idea that I kind of wanted to show you was the whole process that I go through. So it is a graphic novel, and I want it to look, oh, thank you, Vicki. I want it to look like it's a graphic novel. And the techniques that I used in this picture here are the techniques I've been using in this book, and that's why I wanted to share them on YouTube. And that is the combination of polychromos. In this case, it was Faber-Castell, but any of our colored pencils and Tombow markers and even Stabilo markers, and how well they work together to get what I feel is more of that graphic novel look. So the thing when you do something like this, they need to have consistency throughout. So it is like a book. So his jacket, just as an example, needs to look the same in this frame as it does in this frame. His vest needs to match in this frame. The first thing you have to do is read the book. So as you keep going along, you can see I went and did his jacket everywhere I saw it. And that means that you have to do something insane like this. Yes, you have to write down the process in which you did everything. So light umber and dark umber, so that I know what I'm using throughout the book for him. Oh, Vicki, thank you so much for putting that in there. And then even Watson's suit has his own description the whole way through. Hi, Fliss45, and I apologize, guys. You know that I kind of disappeared for a while, so I really don't know people's names, and I am the world's worst with names. So I apologize if I don't call you by your given name, but rather your, for lack of a better word, your handle here on YouTube. It kind of reminds me of the old days with walkie-talkies or CBs. I don't know if anybody remembers that. CBs back in the day when you had handles and stuff. So I apologize if I don't know your personal name. It's just I haven't been around and I'm not learning everybody's. And so, oh, thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you for saying that you're glad I'm back. I'm really glad to be back. Life is settling down, and actually today is a big first for me. The first being that I'm actually doing a live stream and filming while my husband is actually here on the weekend. That's a big deal, and he's being really sweet. He's sitting down by the river right now reading a book and letting me have my time with you guys. So I'm really happy about that. Oh, good, Joe Beth. Thank you for remembering CBs. Yes. way back, Breaker 91 or 91199 or 19 or whatever it was. It was a lot of fun. But anyways, so going on, as you can see, I have to go through and do this. The reason why I love this book so much, and it's what I wanted to share today, is this book is very thin. It is based on a graphic novel, Sherlock Holmes, The Hound of the Baskervilles. I think I linked it down in the description. If not, when I go back to kind of look at this video and before posting it, I'll make sure I post it. It's just from Amazon. And I am not an affiliate with Amazon at all. Anything you see linked down below is purely so you guys could go out and find it if you're interested. That's the thing. So yeah. Oh, so Vicky. So one of the reasons that I did Sherlock Holmes and why I did Sherlock Holmes and Watson is because it is incredibly Victorian. It is set in the Victorian time. It's written by a Victorian author. And just as a fun fact, Queen Victoria was a huge fan of Sherlock Holmes. So I figured that was my safest bet. Plus, everybody has done such beautiful big gowns and all those beautiful things. I thought, we'll do something a little different. And I have been working on this for a long, long time. But the reason why I like this book, back to it, it is fairly thin. There is tons to color, as you can see. There is everything from landscapes, which this is one that I'm working on right now, and I'm thinking of working on it tonight. It's not exciting in that there's a big, huge, drastic, different thing, but it plays to light and shadow and paying attention to a story. And also I wanted to show you guys how many layers it takes before I even introduce the tombos and stuff. But what's neat is when you use your prism, in this case, we're going to be doing prismas. What's really awesome is that it builds the layers, and eventually you have the wax and or the oil, depending on what you're using, but the wax buildup. And then what it does is this is numerous layers of even tombos. You can see up here, there's tombos up in here, but it doesn't go through on the other side. This is the other side. And that is the best thing about this. I can make these things here look like you used alcohol markers, but I didn't. I used my regular water-based ones, and this is not thick paper. This is really close to, it's nice paper, but it is kind of close to, oh gosh, what do we call it? Oh, yes, tombos do this. This is with tombos. But it's putting that, Robin, it's putting the Prisma down first. And I really believe it adds such an incredible depth. So let me just show you the one that I'm almost finished with. You know, I swear we know. You can see I go through and just do bits and pieces. Here we go. So let me bring this down just a little bit. If I can, this will be interesting. Here we go. Let's see. Okay, what's going on? All right. So basically right here, this part that you're seeing, this has all been layered. So this really dark part down in here and all of this is probably 4 or 5 layers of even tombos. And again, on this side, it's not coming through. This is, of course, the color I've done for this page. So it is really, really interesting to see what you can do. And it's because you have kind of that wax, in this case, because it's Prisma, you have that wax seal, and it doesn't leak through. And it gives you, and it also gives me time to then go use the tombos to blend out almost like watercolors. It's really cool. So we're going to do a little bit. How long has this page taken you to do? Oh, reads and eats. I would say that if I sat down and focused on this page, this one right here, this would probably take me, I would say, I mean, if I only focus on this, but you can tell I'm going through the whole book, probably about 6 hours. I mean, and that's me really guessing, because one of the reasons I love doing this book and having a book like this to travel with is because I can work on any part of the book. All right, so exactly, Elizabeth, you've done it with Crayola Super Tips over the pencil. That is the key. That is absolutely the key. Doing it over those allows for you to get a lot more movement. So I know I'm talking a whole lot, but there's so much I wanted to share with you guys. So going back to this page. So this page is far from being finished. What I think I'm going to do is I'm going to show you, I'm going to start going in. Well, actually, we might do this part. So back in here, I've done a lot of heavy Prismacolors and stuff. And as we move forward, and again, it's not going to be gorgeous colors and really, really, really exciting type stuff, except for you might get to see the Tombows kind of move stuff around. So let's go ahead and let me just show you one other thing. So how I make this my traveling book is because I have this little handy dandy little pencil thing, that pencil case thing. It's good use. And because I know I'm using these colors for Sherlock and Holmes, and this is Watson's color palette, I can take these anywhere with me and work on them. And because they're in this book so many times, so if we go, I mean, look how many times he's in here. Now, this is just a layer. I haven't gone to the Tombows. I haven't done anything further. But because he's in this one has more of the Tombow action going in it. This one does. And so does Holmes. So you can see the difference between the two. This one is no Tombows. I need more layers to do over here. And this one is with my Tombows coming in and giving that really deep, deep color. What's really neat about it is you have that, and that deepness makes it look more like a graphic novel. But because I have all my Tombows and colors together here for this particular book, I can take this anywhere and start working on him if I want to. So that was one reason I kind of wanted to show this tonight as well. As this is my traveling book. This is a little traveling case. I got this from Blick. It's perfect. It fits Tombows okay, and you zip it all up, and then that is all that I'm taking with me. And that's why this book has taken as long as it has, but at the same time, I've stayed focused on it because it's so easy to set it up and get going. So let's see over here. Let me go back. So I think you guys are interested to kind of see that Tombow thing. Now, again, if you're interested on my channel, I do have, where's that? Sorry, getting used to the setup. It's a little bit different tonight. So here we go. So this one, it should be the video before this one. This one shows the layers and how I went into it and then use the Tombow. So if you want a refresher to see it versus the what we're doing tonight, I don't know how far we're going to get along. This also has the Tombow / Prismacolor effect, how I use it. Oh, all right. So I'm going to put that away. And we're going to go ahead and get this more in frame. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and flip it over. It's nothing. I like the book folds pretty easily. And then, so as you can tell, this is starting with the sky. There's a lot. I can do more layers. The thing I've said about these books that are so interesting, how many layers of pencil is ideal? Whew. You know, this is the thing. I usually get to a point where I'm going to blend it. So right here, I probably have 5 to 6 already. But remember, Elizabeth, if you've watched any of my videos, I am the queen of really light layers. It is possible. It is very, very possible that you could do them quicker. I always worry about brandishing the tooth. I don't want to lose a tooth on this. And that's why I like Tombows, because when I go in with them, there's still a tooth for me to attach. Now, this is pretty smooth paper. It is Create Space or Create Heaven or whatever it's that kind of thin, but it's a smoother. So it's been doing a nice job of collecting and holding the colors. Really, really excited about that portion. So let me go ahead and grab something that I just realized I need to grab. I have lots of pencils here, but I don't have my greens. So hold on. Talk amongst yourselves. Ooh, got my greens. And let's go ahead and layer up this back portion. And then I was going to come in here and start layering this with kind of a green color to kind of start building it. And then you can see what I'm talking about. Okay. Let's see. I will try to call out the greens, but since this is more of a tutorial of a technique versus actual color combinations, I apologize if I don't get them all in there. That's one reason why my the streams that not streams, but the videos I do where I can go back and edit is always helpful because I can put all the colors. But this we're going to start with a moss green, and literally I'm just going back here, and I'd say as far as the layers, I can almost feel when it gets smooth enough. But I always like to come back in and put in one final layer to kind of blend them all. And I don't use a blender pencil myself. I have found with blender pencils for me, I push down too hard. They're kind of scratchy. And it's really, really challenging for me to not push so hard with blenders. So I use other colored Prismas to do the blending. So we're adding just some green in here. Now in the story, and this is something maybe I can show, I hope I can. This is supposed to symbolize kind of the morning is starting versus, because this is supposed to be morning, this picture, versus this picture, which should feel more like the night. So you can see the moon's out. So this is, you know, going to have darker, deeper shadows versus the morning lights. So there we go. Oh gosh, guys, I'll tell you what, chat's going and I'm over here just chatting and go. And I apologize. Let's see who's. Oh, hey, Kenny, nice to see you. And Crafty K, yep. Oh my gosh, thanks guys for being here. All right, so let me just keep going because we want to kind of see, and hopefully, I should have probably brought it down closer for you guys to see. I apologize, but now that I'm set, I can't go in and fix my Zoom. So I just use a webcam to live stream, and the webcam that I use is pretty good. It's just I have to make sure everything's set up before I go live. And since I have not done this in so long, I have a tendency to forget. So, all right, so here we go. I'm just adding in, again, this is just the moss green, trying to get those hills. But since this is morning, you've got the sun rising up over here is kind of the idea. That's kind of brightest spot. And then you've got the golds and the pinks and all that. It's supposed to be in Devon, so I've tried to go out and look at pictures about what color the stone is. You know, it's got to be a little Gothic in its nature, because we know the Hounds of the Baskervilles was a little bit scary, dark. And so I just keep doing some different layers, using all my different greens. And once I start feeling it, and that's kind of you know how it kind of starts slipping on it? I don't know if this makes any sense. Hey, Cora Beth, it's nice to see you. Thanks for being here. Oh, Vicky, what time is it where you're at and that you're up? Please tell me. It can't be morning. It must be late. You've been popping into everybody's stream like the amazing hostess that you are. I'm thinking, oh, okay, there we go. 11:20 at night. Hope you don't have to get up early tomorrow. But thank you for being here. I do appreciate that. All right, let's see. All right, so we're just going to keep layering. I'll try to do this, and then I really kind of, and let's go ahead and do this bigger spot, because I think this is where you guys might see it more. So here I'm layering as well, and you get to that point where the Prismacolors are almost slipping on each other, but don't push down. Just let the pigment, the wax build up. In this case, I kind of want a wax build up, if that makes sense. And what that does, if you think about it, it seals your paper. So when you go to use your Tombows, they almost start acting like alcohol markers in that they blend really well, but I didn't have to have the alcohol marker paper and all that. So we're just going to do a little bit here and there. I'm going to kind of spread it out. But this is me with my layers, and I don't always have a rhyme. Sure, go ahead and post some links as long as it's not to any place, you know, questionable. But I trust you, Corbeth. I trust you. I trust you. Not doing well with my language here. I should know better. All right, so we're still just going. We're doing some greens. I do it all the way around. And again, this is what these pages do take me a long time. So when it was asked earlier how long it takes, okay, that's in book nester time, colorful book nester time. That's in Rebecca time, because I am scared always of ruining the tooth. So I do stuff in layers, not to mention I'm a little bit, commitment phobe, have just a little bit of an issue a lot of times. So if I'm thinking about this, this is all going to be in shadow, and then maybe the sun's hitting this, so it's going to be a little bit lighter down here. So we can do this pretty dark, but it will take us a while to build up some layers. I know this isn't a beautiful lady we're getting to do, but I thought this might be kind of something a little different to try. All right. Now this book, like I said, is available, and I will have it down in the description notes. Hopefully I can figure out how to do that on Amazon. There's quite a few different graphic novel ones. There's also, I think, Frankenstein, but I figure he's a lot of the same colors, and plus this one has taken me so long, but that's because I do other things all the time. I do reserve this one a lot of times for travel. I took it to England this year whenever we went to go visit family, and I absolutely loved being able to do it. Maybe because it was England as well. All right, so let's see. So now I'm just going to move on to Artichoke, PC 1098. And again, doing those layers in odd little places. So, all the 50,000 shades of green that England offers, you've got to kind of depict it. I have left, if you can tell here, like a highlight. And probably at the end of it, I will probably take a Posca pen and highlight those hills, because again, that's where the sun is actually hitting. But I always think as the top of the mountains is having, or in this case, hills, whatever we're calling them, having that highlight. So I leave that kind of bare for a while. All right. What pencils? These are Prisma. I may or may not have said Prismacolor Premiers. I have found I actually prefer these for this technique even more than my Faber-Castells, which is what I use in more of the tutorial that I was talking about before. I find these things just melt into each other so beautifully that they layer quicker, Robin. They layer a lot quicker than my Faber-Castells do. Because Faber-Castells, I've always had the polychromos that I have to really do light layers and do a lot of them. So if you're in it, if you're at all an impatient, well, you probably aren't. Actually, if you're in a patient color, you probably don't watch me. Because I probably would drive you nuts. It's like, get on with it, lady. And it's like, oh, I'll just keep with my little light layers. Don't mind me. Don't mind me. I'm just over here coloring because it's fun. So as you can see going in, so this little section I just did, that's like 2 layers. That's not going to be enough. Maybe we'll use this section as my guide, and I'll let you know. We'll figure out. You do the same, Vicki? Yeah, but Vicki, you get so many wonderful things done. I don't get near the amount done that you do. But I have to say, I've been really watching your recent with your Supras, and yeah, those might fall into my cart. I have the Neos already, but those Supras might fall into my cart just, willy-nilly without me even knowing why. Because you cheat. It's not cheat, it's coloring. You just know how to do it quicker. I have a fear of commitment. That's why I do such light colors. I promise you. And I just see it grow slowly. Okay, I have a question. I see everybody saying hi to Bunny, and I was wondering, again, feeling kind of embarrassed, Bunny, what is your YouTube name? Because I've been trying to figure out in all these streams, when they start saying hi, who it is. So what is your YouTube name? Because everybody says hi to you. They know you're here, but I don't see anything that says Bunny. Oh, Bunny is, oh, Coloroo. Oh, well, hi, Bunny. Okay. All right. That makes so much sense. So I have not gotten to watch tons of the coloring this weekend. I will be watching a lot of playbacks. That is for sure. Lots and lots of playbacks. Because my husband's actually here, and I mentioned it earlier in the stream. I'm really excited. He knows how much fun and enjoyment I have with this community, and I told him when he was coming up, I was like, oh, I'm scheduled to be doing coloring, and I don't normally do coloring when he's here, and it's not because he doesn't like me to, it's just he's not here very often. And he was like, well, you're not changing anything. And so he is down by the river reading books and having a lovely tipple of some sort, I'm sure. Sorry, I'm looking for a color right now. Let's see. Just an arbitrary green. Oh, we're going to go for lime peel. I always like lime peel. So that's PC1005. And so it's really great because he is like, no problem. And so he's down by the river right now while I get to visit with my friends. So I thought that was really, really nice of him. He's a good chap. He is an amazing man. He really is. So I'm very lucky. Very lucky. Oh boy. All right. So you're Rue and or Bunny. Awesome. I think you know what? That I might be able to remember. I can't promise, but I think I can remember that one. They both hop, so maybe that'll help me. All right. So yeah, I've been seeing everybody being on, and I've been able to pop into 1 or 2 streams, but for a very short time. So I have my week's worth of watching. And I love the idea of the Victorian Color-a-thon. I think we've been learning a lot of things. In fact, I even recently was listening on audiobooks, which is now I listen to a lot more on audiobooks than I actually get read anymore. I was listening to Victoria, the book that started the series Victoria on PBS, which I'm watching, I think through Amazon, I think is how I'm watching it. And what a great, great story. It was a very good book. Have to tell you, Queen Victoria was a little bit of a brat in some ways. In other ways, you just wanted her to just throw some people out and quit letting them come back in her life. It was a very interesting listen to, very well done. But what I didn't realize is the book Victoria only goes up to her and Alfred meeting. Albert, not Alfred. Ooh, gonna start new rumors. Poor lady. Royal household has enough rumors. They don't need to think, who's Alfred? What is this? Queen Victoria had an Alfred? No, she had an Albert. To them, like getting engaged. It doesn't even go to the wedding, and it doesn't go any further. So the series takes it on further. And I believe the book actually came after she started developing the series. I'm not 100% sure, but I think that's how it was. Oh, Cora Beth, thank you for saying hi. So glad to see you. Thanks. Oh, well, Nick and Tina, yes, I have said that I would do the Spooktober as well. It's like, my goodness, between you and Vicky, it's been fantastic, the amount of colorathons. And it's kind of fun because it gives me something to look forward to once a month. So yes, I am very excited about being included. I have to say over and over, Vicky has been so kind to include me in these and reach out to me via Instagram. And it really kind of gave me the impetus to come back into coloring and doing some live streams. I don't have the best setup, and I'm still messing with that as far as I just use a webcam. But that is something that I really, really, I want to do some more coloring, just regular videos, like my old-fashioned ones. And then these streams, it's nice to do once a month because I get to see everybody here and answer any questions people might have of what I'm doing. So as you can tell right now, I'm just kind of putting in more green all the way down. So the idea here with this picture is that you've got the sun rising here, we've got probably a shadow cast here, and then this is going to get lighter and lighter. So I'm just using the lemon peel all the way down. I will get to the tombos in just a moment because we've really got some good layers up in here and here, and I can bring them in now. And then I have really good layers, but I want to darken up these rocks a little bit more. That was a big thing when I went out looking at pictures. The rocks were a very, very dark gray, almost, you know, in shadow they would be in black, that's for sure. Oh, Vicky, you're making me blush, lady. Well, I love listening. So because of how I work, and a lot of times I don't get to see you guys, and what I've been doing even for the past year or so, I'm just going back to artichoke and going to put in some more layers now. Layer queen. I love having you guys on, and I come home after work, and when I'm by myself here, I put you on and I bring out my colors, and you know what? I'm not by myself anymore. So that's pretty cool. I'm pretty happy about that. I think it's awesome uh, that there's that out there for me, and I appreciate it because I don't have that anybody around me that's big into the coloring. And you guys make coloring fun and interesting and okay, which is lovely. So thank you. Thank you for doing that. And thank you for keep putting stuff out so we can watch it. So let's see. So going in with this artichoke. So I thought it would be kind of fun. I think, anytime you do something like Victorian, you're talking about an era and there's so much going on. And of course, I have kind of chosen this little special pocket of Victorian life, which was Sherlock Holmes. And I went out and I looked up a couple little facts. Oh, Robin, you asked me if I had time to read. So I just mentioned this, but I have been doing a lot more listening to audiobooks because when I travel to and from work, it's a great distressor. And I have been loving that. So I've been getting through a lot. I have recently gotten into reading it's a German writer and some of the best books. And you know what? I'm going to go grab it because I've got to share it with you guys. It's now one of my favorite books of all time. Hold on. I'm coming. I know it looks like I just abandoned you, but I didn't abandon you. I promise. Oh, I hope this shows up. Oh, and if it's backwards, I apologize because I think it's something else I have to figure out with my camera. I don't know. Does it look backwards to you guys? Anyways, this is The City of Dreaming Books, and it's by Walter, I'm saying Moyers, Moers. This is a fantastic, oh, it's okay. Okay, great. It is a fantastic book if you love reading. If you are a book fanatic, and it's a part of a series. And I can't believe it's right. It's so weird because it's showing up backwards. But I think I said this last time, so but this is a book that if you love about books, if you are a heavy duty reader, this is going to be a series you're going to love. And the translation is amazing. The writing of this man is fantastic. And the translator, I don't know how he did it. And I'm on the second book in this part of the series. There's like other books in the series, but about the book, the City of Dreaming Books, there's another one. I'm reading the second one, and there's supposed to be a third one, and it's not coming out until like 2023. It's crazy. So I have been reading a lot of books, but I've been reading a lot of mysteries and listening to a lot of mysteries. So like I said, I just got finished reading or listening to Victoria, partly because of this, partly because of this. Whenever Vicki announced they were going to do the Victoria Colorathon and they were going to do it for September, I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to be listening to Victoria then. And I did, and it's got me in the right mood. I've been listening to Sherlock Holmes, read by Stephen Fry, which is amazing. Please do, Robin. It's a great, it's a little bit fantastical. Okay, I have to tell you, if I tried to describe the book, it'd be hilarious. Number one, it has a dinosaur in it, and that's the main character. It's but other than him having a few issues physically because of his limitations as a dinosaur, that's not really the important. He has an amazing, but it's so funny. I couldn't even go down there. Oh, Bunny, you're absolutely right. It is hard. I just like with programs on television, I won't start a program if I don't know there's a second season. So like on Netflix, everybody will be watching, I don't know, Stranger Things, let's say. Everybody's watching Stranger. Have you been watching Stranger? Nope, not until I know there's at least a second series. So yes, it is hard when you're having to wait. Well, Vicki, it's a great idea. It's a great idea. We should be enthusiastic. All right, absolutely. And we can feel the work and energy you bring to it, Vicki. And I think that's another reason why it's it's so well received and everybody loves being a part of it. Okay, I'm going to be honest with you. My colors coming down here, I'm feeling are getting really close to that point that I can use my Tombos and feel safe about it. But this is the big key, and this is one thing I've got to try to figure out. So my highlight parts, you see those? I haven't colored those. Those don't have the layers. So now is the time when I'm going to bring in my blender color. And that blender color is what I'm going to be really using here. And so making that decision sometimes is not easy, and it's not always correct the first time. This is why live streaming is so scary for me. I am going to start, let's see. You know what? I'm going to bring in the chartreuse. I think it might be a little light and a little bit glaring, but once I put the Tombos over, I think it will bring it down. Okay, so let's see. So this is the chartreuse. It's PC989. And when I say I kind of use this blender, I'm going to go even all the way back here. And first I'm going to go and just start kind of, for lack of a better word, smearing. So see how bright that made it? Well, I'm going to want this to be darker, but I can darken that up with my Tombos. But I'm bringing it into all the colors. So you're going to see me use this over the whole thing. Okay? The whole spot. Everything's going to get covered in this. And I'm trying to make sure I put enough layers on even the lightest part. So I'm kind of doing that a little bit heavier than normal. May, goodness, lady, you're doing a thon. Seriously, it's so good to see you. So good to see you. All right, so here we go. I'm just putting it over everything. And I'm doing it. I'm getting more confident at this point because the colors are already kind of established. And I really want to get this good and, for lack of a better word, sealed. So now here we're going to go down here. Now see how light that makes that along that edge. It's that, because it's the color, the chartreuse. But I think that'll help it stay light even once I use the Tombos. Now, I have to tell you, this really starts feeling like I'm using the chartreuse as the blender at this point. And I'm not having to push as hard because it's just moving the other wax from the Prismas around. You do a wonderful job. We need to get you some pom-poms, May. Now, here in the States, I don't know if you know what a pom-pom's used for, but our cheerleaders for all of our games, our athletics, they have pom-poms, and they're our cheerleaders, and that's what it seems like you're trying to do. So, yep, you're right. You're supporting when you can. I appreciate, and I'm so glad you're here. Again, I'm sure it's late at night for you ladies. All right, so I'm still going here. Still going. And because I am who I am, I don't stop. So like I could stop and show you the technique right now, but why would I do that? Because what would we do for the next hour and 20 minutes, right? No, just kidding. It's because I've got this color, pressure, everything. So I just go ahead and just do everything. But again, you can kind of see we've got a little bit darker here. It's starting to lighten up here. And I'm using that for my blending. Hey, Shannon, thanks for coming. It's awesome. You know, guys, I've had some really wonderful comments on my last video and the subsequent, also the stream that I did, the Disney stream. And again, I really, really do appreciate it. It's lovely that you guys are being so welcoming. For somebody who does have a tendency, and I know I do it, I disappear. But, you know, I always think of it kind of like this. If this was an actual TV show, you'd have to watch reruns during the summer anyways, right? But no, I'm very appreciative of how welcoming everybody is when I do come back. And it's great to have these opportunities. My Ariel was a lot of fun, but you know, I've done that technique with the little dots for the sparkles I didn't realize how often I've done it on other pages as well. I did it with a little Bollywood princess on my Instagram, and that was actually the first time I tried it. And oh my gosh, it was so fun. And I'm still looking for other opportunities to do it because it is kind of a neat, fun way to make things sparkle and shine, and it's also a little bit mindless in a way. Okay, so we've got really good. Whoa, look at that green. Woo! All right. Oh, and now I've got to go do this side over. So you can see the blended side. Hey, that's kind of cool. Didn't do that intentionally, but it worked out. So we've got the blended side over here. and then the side that's not blended. So we're going to go ahead and blend that. And then if I remember, we can see the difference with the tombos once I bring them in. We are really close, ladies and gentlemen. We will be bringing in the tombos in a moment. So glad you guys were okay with me doing this page, because I've been wanting to get this this process down. I've been doing a little bit this weekend and this week practicing on it to see if it really is what I like. And I tell you what, it's been fun for this style of coloring book, being a graphic novel coloring book. All right, so let's see. A little bit of fun fact. Oh, I think that's a road. We're going to call that a road, so I'm going to try not to color it green. In fact, I need to go over that because I'll forget. I'm really bad. So I don't know, but it says that Sherlock was actually called Sharon Ford. That doesn't roll off your tongue very easily. I think I like Sherlock a little bit better, definitely. I'm going to go over the road with a bit of gray. Let's see, we're just doing, this is cool gray. And I've been trying to do cool grays on all of this because I look at the stone in the area with the pictures that I've been looking at, references, and everything seems like a cool color versus a really, really warm color. So in fact, you know what, I'm going to use this to kind of blend in all of this. And again, I'm using another color for a blender. I don't really use the Prisma color or any blenders because I just ruin the tooth. I can't control myself. That's basically what it is. So Elizabeth, the Tombow brush, I have not had any problems. I do it very, very light, but with the brush parts messing up. But then again, I have not been using them over and over, so I don't know when that would happen. But I haven't had, and I clean them off. So if they get any of the wax buildup on them, which I don't think they do. They do pick up other colors in this process, and I'll show you guys how I clean it off as well. So we'll kind of, but I have not, my actual brush tips they don't absorb the wax. What happens is their color stays on top of the wax. Because they're water-based. If you think about water and wax, what does water do? It beads up on the wax. So that isn't a problem. However, when I've used used them with a darker color stuff, my lighter colors get some of the other Tombow mixed in with them, but I can just clear those off. So let's go ahead. Now comes the scary part. I've been talking about it, and now I've got to do it, right? All right, so we're going to pull out my green Tombows that I do have. And let's see, we're going to do some of the darker, and it's funny because these colors are kind of odd if I remember right. Let me do a quick little test, little mark to see my different colors. So I have 173 here. I have 158, which is pretty dark. And then I've got 245, which is a garish green, so we won't use that one, no offense. And then 133, which I think is the lighter one that I like to use. Okay, so we're going to just stick for right now because we're kind of doing a green effect. And then I might come over with gray once it dries a little bit. Actually, you know what? I just lied to you guys. I apologize. I'm going to come in with N75 here. Woo. All right, N75 is a light gray. And I want to go ahead and start darkening down this back just a little bit. So let me just test it. I always do it like in a crevice. All right, so there we go. So it's just going to darken these areas back here. I'm still leaving that top part kind of light. I start going over it with the gray just to get this a little bit of a different color because it's far into the distance. So I always think of it as being dark. Bye, Nick and Tina. Thank you guys for dropping in. Have a good rest of your evening. All right, so I'm only going to do a few. We're going to leave this side blank just so that I can show you, hopefully, the difference between the two as we get the building. So I'm just putting a little bit of gray in there to darken that down. Now, I'm going to take my 158, which is my darkest, and my lightest, which is 133. I'm going to take the lids off. Ta-da! So there they are, because I like to switch between them. Because of the wax, this is where I can make it kind of mix together. All right. So I'm going to go very, very lightly in here and then immediately come in with my lighter, and it kind of, it's moving. And so you get that alcohol marker sensation of a blend. Now, if I did this just straight on the paper, my Tombos get absorbed by the paper too quickly. All right, so let's try another one. Come in here. I'm just going where I think the darkest shadow would be. And then I bring this one in, and it blends. And it does a really nice job. Now, Tombos go on darker than they dry, as with most things. All right, so if we just look at that little tiny bit, this side compared to this side, all I've done is added the markers. All right. Okay, let's see. Where am I at? Here we go. And we're going to do, you can do a couple of them, but I kind of do it quickly just so that I make sure that they're still a little bit wet so they do that blend. Okay. Ooh. All right. There's some dark over here. And then because they are markers, you know, they're not watercolors. I don't have to worry about, you know, them. They don't really smear anything. Once they dry, they're there. They're there permanently, so that's kind of nice. I'm just going to do a little bit in here, maybe a little bit more dark because I want these shrubs to, or they're probably trees as far away as they are. So there you go. And then we go in here. All right. Okay, so if you look at the difference from this side to this side, you can see the intensity is just there. It's so much more intense. Now we're going to start doing this down here, doing very much the similar thing where I want it a little bit darker. So I'm going to put quite a lot of dark. There we go. Along here. All right, let's see if you can see where it starts blending out. There you go. I'm going back over the whole area. And you just start getting those darker colors in there. And if I was feeling like they weren't moving as much, I could go in with more pencils. See, right there. And add, quote unquote, more wax and color. And you'd really start seeing. Here I'm just kind of dotting along because I don't want the whole thing to be extremely dark all the way. I want differences. And I'm keeping that top a little bit light. I'm not quite going up into that light moment because that's kind of where I'm thinking we're getting a little bit of light from the sun that is coming up. There we go. Thank you, Robin. It was something I kind of, you know, so I first got Tombos with the idea that I would get nothing but the pastels so that I could put the Tombos down as my base coat. And that works. It does. And in my quest for the lighter colors, I kept also getting darker colors. Like if you get a set or something, you know, there's light and dark. And some of my, what I thought was light wouldn't be. It wasn't light. It was pretty dark actually. And I was like, oh, I can't use them. And then I was working on something and suddenly went, wait a second, maybe I can get them to blend to kind of give a deep shadow. And I started playing with them and my Stabilos and my Triplus fine liners. And Stabilos are great with this technique as well. That's something else that I used in the Sherlock Combs video was with Stabilos as well. And I was like, oh my gosh, I now can make my Tombos blend. But the key, I realized, and what's really neat about Tombos, once they dry, I can go back over them and see here, I'm darkening them down. They do build up, which is really kind of cool. So really, really, once I figured out, it's like, oh, And what I like too is my Prismas doing all these layers again makes me so familiar with the page, and and they do bleed through the colors as far as the Tombos, you can see, you know, what I've already put down there. But this just takes it up to that next level of intensity. And for a graphic novel type thing, I think it's perfect because, I mean, if we look at the front of this, which I'll show you in just a second, you can see really, really strong colors are usually involved in a graphic novel type artwork. Also like the 40s, the 30s and 40s type, or the, what am I thinking of? Art Deco, really, really strong colors there as well. So here we go. That is with the Tombos, and here, of course, without. And just the intensity is just, it really helps. So again, so that's basically all I do. And with the Tombos, there's so many different colors and variances of colors. It's always fun. So like this is pretty light out here. So I'm going to just go with the green and give it a layer. But over here, it's a little darker behind. So one of the things that happened in January is I had a flood and lost a lot of my art supplies. They were downstairs being stored because we had all of our Christmas decorations up here and I didn't have a place to store them. And then we had a flood, and so I lost a lot of them. So it's made me go back with the stuff that I have. It makes me work better at using what I have. And then the choices I'm making of replacements is also making me kind of look at things a little differently. Can they be replaced individually instead of just a whole set? And, you know, also using more of my supplies. And that's another reason I'm very happy. And it's now made me want to go and get more Tombos because of it. You know, Crafty K, I love all the people, and I think people are very, when you're coloring them, can be very dramatic. But I have to say, doing things like landscapes or something along these lines where I can kind of do the same repetitive process, I like a lot. It's very enjoyable. I often think of that. And I'm looking for that all the time. I also like buildings and quirky little places but I have to say, you know, when people do the faces and you're just like, wow, it's so fabulous. But I enjoy coming up with the color combinations. I have to say, I think my coloring, even as a kid, the things I loved to color. In fact, one of my biggest things was animals in natural settings. So we would go on trips, wherever that might be, like to a state park, and I would buy a coloring book from that state park and then read up on the animals. And of course, this is before Google, and try to figure out what the animals look like and try to color it as realistic, and then also color their landscape environment as realistically as possible. So yeah, I kind of return to that. Soothing, yeah, that's right, May. They're especially like in this situation. I know I can go back and play with this some more. I can get it deeper, but every once in a while I like to have a big spot where I'm doing the same process over and over. I guess it's kind of like a mandala, you know, where you're doing either the same color all the way through. I can relax and enjoy. So I'm glad people actually are okay with the with the landscape in this case. I just couldn't compete with all the gorgeous women that were showing up in all the Victorian feeds. There's some just really beautiful, and they're so fun because we can do such amazing color choices and things with them. So I love that. But see, that's what's kind of cool, Crafty K, is as you're going through, and you know, in your case, you're painting the same kind of environment or picture, and you're trying to improve it. I'm sure every single time you notice either another color or that there was a texture change of some sort. And I think something like that is a really great way to learn how to also be observant. So the sky up here and the sky that you see in the other, those are influenced for me by the skies that I see here at Rivercrest Cottage. I mean, the colors, and it's made me look at them differently. And coloring has made me look at my world a lot closer. Definitely. And just see how colors change. Sometimes it's amazing me. If you look at the sky, you look at it and go, that looks like it's unreal. That doesn't look like it really can be that way. And I think we judge our coloring, especially our skies and landscapes and clouds. We think, oh, this doesn't look realistic enough. You go look at those clouds. There's some weird stuff going on in our skies that when you just look at it, you're like, I don't think this is really natural. And it is. It's nature, people. All right, so it's a little bit glowy, but at the same time, I like it because it is supposed to be sunrise. So I'm going to finish up over on this side. Let's see. And so again, just doing the same thing. And then I'm going to work on the rocks a little bit if you guys don't mind, just to get them balanced out a little bit more. And Lord only knows how deep I'm going to go with this. So one thing that I've kind of noticed, there's been a couple times when I've put up a picture and people have commented on skies. So I will plan on trying to find something that I can kind of do some different sky techniques, because believe it or not, people, skies, because they can be so unrealistic in a lot of ways, aren't as difficult, I think, as we think. But start paying attention when you're, well, I don't know if it's good when you're driving because you should be watching the road, but when you're out and about, look up at the sky every once in a while. Look at those really crazy, the clouds, and how distinct colors can be. It's not as smooth as we would think. It's really interesting. All right. I still got a couple little bushes and trees to do to make him a darker little bush. So yeah, I think the tombos in this particular style and book work really well and are really appropriate and really bring out that more of that graphic novel feel. Because most graphic novels, of course, are going to be done, well, nowadays probably electronically, as far as an iPad or iPro or whatever those things are. But also, they would have been done with markers, Copic markers. Well, Copic, I say, but it could be whatever marker that they were into. All right, so I'm just doing a little bit here to get those shrubs in. All right. Oh, I think I missed a bit down here on the road. The thing interesting about like sun to me, and that's why I'm kind of thinking of this, when you look at the sun, all right, it is the brightest point, but the part that we think of a lot of times is the yellow part, but it's all the reflections that we're seeing. But the sun is almost completely white, and that's why I'm trying to keep that white over there to imply that's the brightest spot. The sun's just about to come over that top. But that's after years of driving and having the sun blaring into your eyes and you can't see. That I really kind of realized that myself. Now, this is still a little bit bright for me in here. So I can do one or two things. I can either start coming in with some Prismacolors, which I probably will do, and then maybe come back in with some Tombos. But I want to go ahead and start working on these rocks a little bit more. They're almost to the point of the Tombow spot is going to happen. So, but I want to do just a little bit more getting those layers. So like I was saying, I think it's important to do the layers. So I'm using, in this case, we're going to go in and do some really dark shadows with our 70% Cool Gray, PC 1065. Good night, Vicki. Thank you so much for being here. Have sweet dreams. Really do appreciate you being here. Let's see. So I'm just going to go in and do some more shadows and really start trying to bring out like the crevices, I guess. Well, that's not a very nice word, is it? Crevices. Some of the different crevices. And try to get some shading going. A little bit more here and there. And again, I'm just building up the amount of Prisma that's on the page so that when I go to do in, we can get some really good shadows and shading and different. Because gray is hard. I mean, you could have a very, very flat feeling gray. And so trying to make it a little bit alive is important. Because there's a lot in this picture. It's probably why I did the sky, the colors that I did, just to get it a little bit brighter. Plus, I can't imagine that they don't have beautiful sunrises too. Bye, May. Have a good evening. Thank you so much. And again, thank you for stopping by. That is fantastic. You guys are great. Yeah. I don't know that I could stay up till 11:30, 12. But they've been very nice to do that. That's very, very kind. All right. So here we are with our grays. I'm just going in really intensifying those crevices. In fact, I'm going to go back up. Now, I've already done these with Tombos, but I just don't feel like they're dark enough, if that makes sense. But I want some more, because this is the back of the rock. It would be in total shade. So if it's a, if it's already a dark rock, it's going to be really dark. That's for sure. So let's see, what else did I let? Yeah, so I said Sharonford was going to be Sherlock's name. It says originally Sir Arthur Conan Doyle named the sleuth Sharonford, but changed his mind. Thank you for changing your mind. Perhaps because there were well-known Nottingham cricketers called Sherwin and Shacklock, and the author was a big fan of the sport. Oh, well, who knew? See, we love to always think that authors are so creative, but they're just good about bringing bits of their experiences and their worlds into their writing. It makes the writing personable too. Oh Lord! And John Watson was nearly called Ormond Stacker. Yet neither one of those would have worked. Stacker and Sherringford. No, Dr. Stacker. That seems wrong, doesn't it? Now, it really does. Seems really wrong. Just wrong. So luckily, that didn't stick and he changed his mind. All right, let's see. Like I said, this is, okay, so this is where I turn into really my issue self. I could sit, and this is the thing where, when you were asking me how long these take, it, when I say 6 or 7 hours, it could take a lot longer if I just want to keep messing with it and tweaking with it. And missing some more. All right, let me go ahead, because I really want this to get a little bit darker. All right, so you know what I'm going to do? We're going to go over it all. We're going to go over this one all, and then I'm going to show you using my Stabilos as well. So this is the cool gray. I'm going to go over it again. I'm kind of just, again, I want to make sure I have plenty of layering. And I'm using this gray, again, as a blender. I'm kind of staying on this 20%. I'm staying on the highlight parts, because I'm going to go in with the darker colors. But I don't know if you can tell on here, but it really starts, it's Prismacolors. They start smooshing together. Good smooshing. Smooshing. As you can tell here too, I've already put like a yellow highlight from the sun on there. I'm not sure if I'm going to let it stay that bright, but for right now I'm leaving it because I haven't decided. So we're going to go into some of these lighter spots and do a bit of smooshing about the Prismacolors. Yes, that's going to be our new official technical term. We are smooshing my Prismacolors. It is amazing how much this paper, it's a lot like Nina White copy paper. I can't get over the layers it will take. Okay, let's see. Now comes the scary bits. All right, I'm just putting it a little bit darker. All right, quit messing. So now comes, I'm going to go ahead and keep, so we had this gray before, and it's N75, but I'm going to use my Stabilo 68 pins. So these are the ones that are a little bit thicker. They're not the fine liner. But this is just 68/46. I would assume if they did put names on it, they would just call this simply black. So we're going to do it really lightly and see how well I can get my shadows to come up. So I'm going to go over here. Now, I always start when I do any of these things in a place that I know is not as visual. So like, I'm not going to start up here with these dark colors because that might be too dark for this area. I'm going to start down here and just put a little bit along the edges and then flip to my Tombow, and I can start pulling that up. There that goes. Pulling it up, and then you still have the shade. So let's see. We're gonna get. I promise I'll get more brave in a moment. But this is actually taking that Stabilo and pulling it up, and the gray of the Tombow. They're working together. There we go. Here, I'll do a little bit down there. So see how strong that line is I just put in there. If I take my Tombow, I can bring it up even into that lighter colors. Now what's happening is wax is not transferring, but the ink from the Stabilo could be transferring. And so let me just show you here. So every once in a while, I'll just clean off the tip because it does build up. So you can see right there. Oh, sorry, that was rubbish. That little bit right there is darker than that part down here. And that is the Stabilo ink gets onto my brush pins, but it's not the wax building up because it's not melting the wax. It's not doing like Gamsol or alcohol would do, but it is picking up. And I kind of use it almost like watercolors. And if I let this dry, I can go back and do more. Oh, thank you, JoBeth. I like to come on and try to give something helpful or interesting or just a way to look at stuff a little differently. That's one reason why sometimes I don't do as many videos or whatever, because I don't have that many interesting techniques. And the chatting part it's always amazing to me. I do seem to be able to chat for 2 hours, but I get nervous that I'm going to run out of things to say. And because I don't get to be every day with you guys and on all the other chats, I can't even reference what's going on in the world of ColorTube, type thing. But thank you. I always use wax as a resist, and that's exactly what this is doing. So it's resisting it. And then once it dries, I mean, it's stable. But it's nice because I can get those blends. Like I said, it's as close as I can get. And I have some Copic markers, but I can't use it in a book like this. In fact, 90% of my books I can't use it in. So this has been a fun little technique to learn. It does really well on clothing, and that's what that one, the last video I did was the clothing, because it just gives that softness and movement. JoBeth. Yeah, I didn't think I could, but boy, I seem to be able to. Especially, I mean, again, I don't have a lot of people that I'm chatting to in my real life, or I shouldn't say real life. This is a part of real life, but you know what I mean in my everyday life about coloring. So it's nice to have something. And I learned so much from YouTube and all of the colorists that come on, and also people who leave comments and give me suggestions. That it's a way to give back, definitely. And I like that. So this can be really, really kind of boring. But at the same time, it can also be, it's interesting because I build it up. So over here, if we think about this is going to be a really dark area. So I'm going to get Woo, I'm going wild now. Can you see it, all that? So if I just left that, that is way too garish. It's too much of a difference, but just a little bit of pulling it out. And now you get more of a shadow you would expect. And the thing I like about these Tombos is that little tiny brush tip. I mean, I can go out and see how I can run along that so perfectly because it's just so precise. So I'm not this precise with paint brushes, but with the Tombos. Silence. Silence is golden. Here we go. Awesome. All right. So yeah, so I'm just going to be going through this through the whole thing, and I might continue to build up. And it's funny because, you know, I think I'm done and then I come back and I'm like, oh, I bet I can make that a little bit darker. This method on this book is helping me be able to get rid of the artist lines, if that makes sense. So the little hash marks that they've done to indicate, like right here, that this should be heavily shaded. This helps me get over them. Whereas with my colors or my pencils, it would have either taken so many layers or I would have had it gone so dark so quickly. But in this way, I don't have to. So I'm going to go clean off my gray because this is a lot of ink that or Stabilo ink that I've just picked up. There we go. Oh, Joe Beth, thank you for stopping by. I really do appreciate it. And thanks for your comments. And I really have enjoyed chatting with you. So have a good rest of your evening or day. I don't know where Joe Beth was from. Oh, you're very welcome. This has been great. I was looking forward to it since the last one. And I will be participating in Spooktober. That's the idea. So I will be doing that one as well. I like supporting all these, and it's fun because it's like once a month to check in and see everybody. It's almost like having a little color club once a month, and I like that. You're in Arizona. Ah, so you're trying to have some more of your day. Lovely. But how hot is it out there? I bet it's pretty nice now. So when is Spooktober? I think it's the last weekend in October. Does anybody here know? Please feel free to pop in and write the dates. Still in the 90s. Okay. Well, enjoy your time, and thanks again, Joe Beth. Have a great rest of your weekend. So yeah, no, Spooktober. I'm excited about. I need to ask. It's Nick and Tina and Vicky. I think they haven't done the official announcement. They've been saying on this one because of course we all want to know, right? During this Victoria Colorathon, I've been chatting about it, but I don't think the official announcement videos have gone out as to what it means. I assume we're going to be able to choose anything we want from a more Halloween spooky type thing. The last weekend before Halloween, that's what I was thinking too, Bunny. I just don't know what those dates are off the top of my head. I would be doing the Friday. I know that instead of the Sunday, I'll be doing Friday afternoon sometime. I don't think it's 5 to 7. I think it's like 2. But again, we know that that'll all come out. So looking forward to that. I want to get into some autumnal coloring. I have not broken out my russets, browns, and oranges as much. I started to on the Sherlock. I noticed I was drawn to those colors, and I think that's something I'm going to want to do. I've got a couple in mind. I have a Hannah Lynn one that I would love to do. So I might do that one for just a fun, quick. Okay, quick. Quick. Okay, right. So watching some other YouTubers this weekend during the colorathon. I'm watching them like, oh my gosh, I am so dreadfully slow. I must be like, to some degree, watching me color must be like watching paint dry. But I love the process. Yeah, it cracks me up. I can, when I'm working on my videos, and sometimes, I'm doing the same process. Like if I was doing this over and over, I would actually try to speed it up on my videos, and not live stream, but on my videos. And it's so funny because there's a laugh going, I can speed this up to 1,000% and it's still slow as molasses. Yeah, Chai, just as far as when that happens, like I said, I think it's Nick and Tina who are actually hosting. Vicky is helping out with like the spreadsheet timing and organizing of that. So I would assume it's a co-host type thing. So either Vicky and or Nick and Tina will do a more formal announcement one, but just put it in pencil that it's that weekend. It would, and it's a 3-day. They've already just, they know we all want to do our little bit. So it's a 3-day process, video, or sorry, colorathon. So it'll start on Friday and go through Sunday. That much I know. So as I said, I have a feeling that the only requirement is it's something spooky or something to do with Halloween, I would think. All right, so now something else that I sometimes do if you needed to darken up. So I'm going to go ahead and move down here more to these rocks. So these, again, I've already done at least once. There's still some more I might want to do on it, but I want to go ahead and start darkening these down a little bit. So one of the things I'm going to, ooh, okay. This is the other problem that you have, is you have to make sure you put the right lids on. All right. So let me see. I am going to go ahead, because I don't want these to be quite as dark. I'm going to try, hold on a second, I can see how dark this is. Okay, so instead of using black on these, I'm now going to change to my Stabilo 6896. And it is a little bit of a darker gray. I'm still going to use my N75, just because it's a really good blender. And I'm going to start, the safest spot for me is down here in these shadows, and try those a little bit. Am I? I am running away, aren't I? Thank you, Elizabeth. Like I said, I've done like a weird little setup and I keep finding myself floating. So thank you. Is that a little better? I'm making y'all stretch. Y'all are like trying to look around a corner that you don't really have, right? So we're just going to start off here, and this is not quite black. So what's nice is when I go to pull it out in here, we're getting a better look at me pulling out that color. It's not going to be as black, but it still leaves that dark in that crevice like I want. This technique works really well with grayscales, what I have figured out. Thanks, Elizabeth. You're almost off screen again. Yeah. Overexcited, overexcited. So here we go. But again, it pulls those colors. All right, so I'm going to show you here. So this, let's see. This might be a really good one to be able to, hopefully it works. I'm going to do some from the bottom because that's dark. We're just going to bring those two together. And as it comes up, it lessens the gray as far as the dark, and you get that different shade. And then I get to pull a little bit from the top down. So there's here. And it just makes it have that blend. There we go. Now I can still see the lines. You might not be able to, so I'm going to put in a little bit heavier just to kind of get those lines out of there as much as I can. So yeah, so this technique I have found, I think, works really well on anything that's grayscale, because you've got those marks in there, which is great. Yeah, there we go. All right, now I'm just going to take this, I'm going to clean it off. So again, because there is a lot of black that's on there. Try it in a bunch, Elizabeth. And then post pictures and let us know, because I've really started to like it. And it's a great way to use my Tombos effectively for me. So now I'm just going over the whole rock area. You can see here with the gray. And so you can see how much of a shadow that just put in like instantly. And I love that. And because I've gone up here and come down, and again, I can do this. And then I can add just a little bit of a shadow in here if I wanted to. I feel like I can be more precise, much better than I am, like I said, with an actual paintbrush. And the Stabilo, so the Stabilo 68s, I kind of mentioned this on previous streams, but there you go, you can see it. It's not, I'll show you, well, I'm just gonna have a triplist fine liner because I don't have my 88s. So Stabilo makes a fine liner too, it's the 88. And so the 88 has a nib like this. You can see how tiny that is. This looks huge compared to it, but I'm amazed using the Stabilo 68s how thin of a line I can actually get, and then combine that with, of course, my brush tip. It really makes it so much better that for me to be able to do the two together and kind of keep control. So again, I can go right along there with that really thin line. There we go. Exactly. So somebody was saying, the super tips, I have done something similar. In fact, I think the super tips are the first time I ever tried it. But your water base, definitely, I think it helps. The Tombos, I just like the brush nib, and now I'm pretty happy. But as you can see, the Stabilos work, the triplist fine liners work. In fact, I think my first time of doing this, and I'd have to go back, I think was with super tips, Crayola markers, and my triplist fine liners. I think was the first time I did it. And I think I did that in a Jade Summer book. And again, it's all about the polychromos really making that kind of wax buildup. And again, it works with your Faber-Castells. I just find that with Faber-Castells, I have to do a lot more light layers so I don't screw up. Now, what's really kind of cool, and I don't know if I'm going to do it, but you know what, I can. Let me show you. This is what's really neat. So once this dries, because you've not ruined the tooth, I can still go back in. And here I'm just going to go back to the grass to show you with my Prismacolors, the moss green and lemon peel. And I can go in and start adding the moss green to deepen these colors. And because I've not ruined the tooth, and it's dry. Do not do this while it's wet. It'll peel all over the place. Once it's dry, and they dry quickly, so that's nice. And I can go in and you can see I can start adding, and then I can come over with my lemon peel and it'll start blending again. And then if I want to come back in with my Tombos, I can still do that and it doesn't bleed through. It's so for those of you like me that are a little tentative and want to try stuff slowly, building up your layers and things like that, this technique works, and it allows me to do that. But you can do that. So like even these, and again, who knows how many times I'm going to go over them to get to the shade and the consistency that I'm perfectly happy with. I mean, I like the way it's looking now, and I'm pretty happy about it. But I am always messing and tweaking. So yeah, so you can go back over any of them. So I'm going to continue on. And let's see, we're going to continue on with the rocks. I'm really trying to get the shades in here. Still not quite sure how light I want to keep this. So I'm going to really beef this up with the shading so that if I decide that I want to bring down that rock color, I can. And make it a little bit deeper. So yeah, so I just sit here with both of them open and kind of switch and toggle between the two back and forth. Oh, thank you, Bunny. Thank you very much. This whole book has been so fun to do just because it's so interesting with the colors and everything and all of the shading. And when I get tired of doing rocks, I can flip back and do, start work on Holmes and Watson. There's even, and then the next one is going to be over here. I have the house portion. And so this is more during the day, so this will be really light. So, you know, I like that even within 2 pages, I have so many things I can work on. And that's what I like about doing books like this. But keeping notes is important so that you know how to do them all. And that goes right up my alley because that's kind of what I like to do. Here we go. Awesome. So see how that just kind of smears it over but gives it the actual shading. So these are pretty harsh in here, so I'm going to come in and put in some extra dark and then go over the whole thing, and you'll see it kind of blend a little bit better, because right now you can tell compared to that rock, these little darker shades is a little bit too jarring. But there we go. I like doing stonework too in books. Like if you have the exterior of a castle and you see all the stones and stuff, again, another really relaxing kind of thing, right up there with the whole landscapes. It's hard to find almost all the new stuff coming out is just faces. I have noticed that. And though I love them, sometimes I just like to working on things like this that isn't a face or hair. That's why I have too many coloring books. Or, excuse me, what am I talking about? Too many. This is not the audience to say I have too many, right? So it kind of intensified all of those little things. If you can see right here, see how that's like such a dark line. That might be something that I'll go over with like a white Posca pen, and then come back in with and color over it with some of my Prisma, because that's kind of a nice thing to do as well. In fact, if I take this, I just grabbed it. It's my Luminance white, and I kind of put it over that. That'll dull it down so it's not so. And what'll happen too is that when I put my markers over it, so we're just trying to dull down that a little bit. So you can do that too. You can dull down your really, really, if you don't want to put white, like I don't think whiting that out is necessarily what I need to do because these are gray rocks. But as you can tell, I can go in and take all these really harsh lines and fade them just by putting my white on them. Of course, everybody knows the luminants are fantastic, but you could do this with your Prisma. I just don't happen to have my white Prisma nearby. Don't know where it is. Hey, let's see. There's the white Prisma. You can do it with that one too. I need to sharpen it. So the same thing up here. Kind of dull it down maybe. So that's not quite as strong. Kirby books are completely different. Boy, are they a commitment though. I love his drawing, like his animal drawings. Even without the doodles, his artwork is fascinating. I really like it. The doodles are a little distracting for me because I want to color them differently. I can't just seem to color just over them and be done. But I love the animals and things that he does. I wish he'd almost do something with not doodles in them. I think one of his books doesn't have very many doodles in them. Instead, it's more of just the whole, it's the animals then morphing into plants and things like that. But yeah, those are a lot of fun. All right, so now I've got everything. It's still pretty harsh. So let's just go over it with the gray over everything and see how we like that for darkening down. And this is something else. I mean, once you learn a couple of yours, like for brown, for gray, I mean, you don't need every Tombow out there. to do this. You need, you know, a light, a dark, and then of course with the Stabilos, that's nice. But yeah, you can do this. In fact, maybe I'll do one with the super tips just to show people, because I like showing, you know, I love my Crayola pencils and I like my super tips, and this is a way to use them as well. So there we go. That's kind of made it blend a little bit better. It's not quite as harsh. He has a new one coming out. Kirby has a new one in March. He is an animal, man. He is something else. I wonder if is he with a I'm going to start the process over here because I haven't done this with these guys. I wonder if Kirby is more in control. I know that as far as with his publishers and stuff, I wonder if he's happy with the people he has, because I know that that was a bit of a problem and caused some issues in some of his books. Does anybody know what the new one's going to be called? Because that's fun. I mean, I'm glad some of our really great. It's kind of like all the really good color illustrators or color book illustrators have been able to stick around. I mean, I know there's a lot less coming out than when we first started. I just hope that it can maintain. But you know, I'm out on Etsy a lot looking for largely PDF. Worlds within worlds, I think. Oh, now that sounds really interesting. Oh, I can't even imagine what he's doing with that, if that's the name. Wow. All right, you know, see, this is what ColorTube does. It talks about other ones, and then we end up getting more coloring books. But how fun are they? Tell you what, I love seeing Sammy color in Imagimorphias and Kirby Roseanne's. She does some amazing work in those books, that's for sure. Really love watching her do that. In Color and Chat with Sammy, I mean, I don't think anybody would not know that's who I'm talking about, because she's quite amazing and has a lot of videos with the Kirby Roseanne. So, all right, so here, as you can tell, this is lighter. I have at least one layer of Prismas on here. I'm going to go ahead and do more. I'm going to color all the way up, and then we're going to start experimenting from this point down with how dark it goes, because I really don't want this to go too dark, and I don't know if using the Tombow, if that's what's going to happen. So I want to be really, really careful coming all the way down. But I would start up here, because this is, again, a spot that can kind of hide if it doesn't work. But bear with me while I do this last section. And again, I am coloring in circles, as I always do, and that is because part of this process, getting that wax resist, as we were talking about before, that buildup, is making sure you have everything covered. So you can tell I'm kind of using this as the blender. So using doing it in circles means that I get, instead of in streaks, you know, I'm getting the whole area covered. So you can really tell on screen right there that had that yellow in it. So I go in and do like my highlights like that. I almost map them out before I start anything else. And that way I know not to either color over them, plus adding it after I've done any gray or any color, the yellow is just not going to come through as well. And so we want that to be kind of like the sun is hitting that a little bit differently. And putting a little kiss of yellow, because here comes the sun. Doo, doo, doo. All right. And here we go. Again, more circles. All the way down. Now, this is whenever I wish that I had just a lighter Tombow than even the one I've been using for that overall. So, and I don't think I do. I don't have a lot. So what we might do, to be really careful, I want to give it a try. And this, I would do this over here as well, like on that top shadow part. Actually, I might as well just go ahead and do it, right? You guys have been so patient sitting here watching me color rocks. But hey, you might have a rock somewhere in your coloring world and you might not know or want to have a different way to color it. So, rocks are important too in our coloring world. Okay, now comes the scary part. I really wish I had a lighter color Tombow, but I don't. Let me look. Yeah, I really don't see anything I think that's going to work that well with it. So let's see. I'm going to do this very corner, and I just want to see if it's going to darken it too much. I don't want to lose that. Yeah, I think it's going to darken it down too much. I think it's going to make it look too much like that rock. So in this case, I think I might leave it. I am going to do a little bit of Tombowing to come out. Tombowing. Did you like that? And let me just show you with tripless fine liner. So we've got a little bit of gray here. I'm going to put, and you're not going to be able to see it, but I'll pull it out in a moment. Let's just see, that's not dark enough. But bring that up. But you can even do it with the tripless fine liners. Okay, I am just going to do this ever so lightly for that. There you go. So we get the shadows. I'm just not going to cover the whole thing in gray because I think it'll darken it down if I go too far. What are you coloring, Elizabeth? What are you working on? For that matter, what's anybody working on? I'd love to know. And is it something Victorian inspired, or is it a work in progress that you've had going for a while? I have so many work in progress. This book is one of them. But like I said, I love to travel with this thing. It's so easy. And my colors are all in my little handy dandy pencil case. And that fits so great in my carry-on luggage. So and does anybody else have a travel book that they like to use? Like if you have a book that you take with you whenever, whether you're going to a doctor's appointment or traveling long distances, do you take your colors with you? And if so, do you have something that's simple, easy to grab hold of, or do you take like all your supplies and then some? In Seasons by Hannah Carroll. Do you know I do not have one Hannah Carroll's on? I feel like such a failure as a colorist. I really like the new one that she's come out with. I just, every time when she comes out with one, I've kind of just told myself, like just recently before I see her new one come out or something, I've always said, okay, no more books until you do X, Y, or Z. And it just seems to always hit that way. Oh, a Hannah Lynn pick, Elizabeth. Awesome. You're trying it out, huh? Already. Good. That's exciting. You have two of them, but the new one looks fabulous. It really does. It looks really fun. And boy, Vicky's been coloring in it. Isn't it amazing? Definitely. But yeah, it's so weird. It always hits that timing where I'm like, I have too many books. I need to color. And then I don't. I like it. I tried discipline, but that just didn't work. Yeah, discipline. Overrated. I know I'm just running out of space. We don't have a whole lot of space where I'm at. And I'm kind of like, I'm going to be really embarrassed when, my husband, comes and all my clothes are out on my bed because I don't have any space for them in the drawers because it's full of books. So, all right. So, you know what? I'm going to see, this just isn't smooth and I wish I had something. All right. Oh, you know what? Ooh. I wonder what a blender would do. The Tombow blender. We're going to try that. I hope I don't mess this up. Oh, we'll do it someplace really, really small. Let's give the blender a try. So we're going to take the lighter. Let's see. I'm going to find the lightest gray that I have, which might have been what I have in my hand. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Okay. Okay. We're going to give this a try. So I'm going to use the Stabilo 6895 and the blender, which is an N00. So let me give this a try and see if that is more the look I'm thinking of for this lighter. So we put this lighter gray in, take my blender and pull it out. Oh, we might have something, people. Ooh, this might do it. Oh, as I drop it. So I'm trying to use the blender kind of as to bring out. So we're going to put, ooh, gosh, if this works, I'm going to be just beside myself, excited. It's doing it, people. It's doing it. Look at that. It's bringing out the gray. It'll allow me to keep this pretty light because eventually that ink that it's picked up stays behind. Am I off the page again? Nope. Okay. So let's try it here. Because the blender's not adding any more color, but it is picking up. So again, I'll have to clean my blender every once in a while. So, oh no, not too bad. Oh, yeah, I think I got a little too excited about that, but that's brilliant because now I can work on this and have the gray and have the smoothness of what the Tombows kind of, ooh, yeah. Nice. Okay, good. That makes me so much happier because I didn't know what I was going to do because I don't have light enough grays, but now I do because I can use the blender to bring out the gray, and it gets lighter and lighter as it comes out. Look at that. Oh, I know. The things that make us happy. I just love whenever I find something new to do with my supplies. I have so many, so that's part of it. Yeah. So you can, I'm sure you guys aren't seeing it, but what it's doing is it brings out a little bit of that Stabilo ink that I put down and allows me to blend it out. And of course the blender has no color, so eventually the little gray kind of dissipates into nothing. So let's give this a try. We're going to hit a couple of these. Nice. Okay, good. Yeah. So there's an option. If you don't have a light color of something that you're working on, you can use the lightest color you do have and then the blender, and it will help you get that gradient. All right, so that means I can go over here. Oh, okay, now we're going to do another thing. Oh, just thought of. All right, so that's for the Stabilos. But what about if I use my Tombow, my N75, that darker gray that I have, and then bring it out with the blender? What is that going to do? Ooh, let's see. Let's give it a try. All right, so this is still pretty light. Oh, it works even better with the Tombow on Tombow. Just to let you know, it works even better with Tombow on Tombow. All right, so I'm just doing these edges, and then oh, okay. So there you go. If you guys have your Tombows, and you have, you know, like this is a light shade, but I didn't want to darken this all the way down with it. The Tombow to Tombow, then really it does with this wax buildup, acts like a watercolor and blends beautifully. Why didn't I think of that earlier? That's what I do all the time, though. I'll be doing one process and then I'll figure something else out and go, oh, I should have been doing that all this time. So very nice. Okay, good. Feeling much better because it, there we go. We're going to do a little bit more here because that's a little harsh, and see if I can get that to, ooh. Now, this is a little still too wet, and it started peeling when I did it. So don't do that. Don't be me. All right. I'm liking that. That's doing pretty well. All right. And I'm going to go in and darken these a little bit more because, again, it's the back And now that I've got these darker, I know how dark I can go. And then I'm going to work on the houses. And I think that'll be it because we only have just, oh my gosh, thank you guys for being here and hanging out with me. You can tip to tip other colors too and come out with a blend. Kind of, oh, chai. Ooh, maybe that's something even new. So you're saying, and I'm just going to use the blender here because it's safe. You're saying to take this and put it like tip to tip. So if this was red and this was purple, we'd get a red purple mix and then be able to, I think I've seen that like when people do journaling with words and stuff. So you're saying to do that even like when you're coloring as well. Interesting. Okay, cool. Very nice. All right, so I'm going to go in with my, actually, because this needs to be a little bit darker. Okay, I'm going to stick with my blender though for now. And what color do I want? Okay, this is really fiddly down back in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my little triplets. Actually, you know what? No, so my triplets are starting to run out. They seem to dry out. My Stabilos, now I have not used them as much, but my Stabilos seem to last longer. So I've kind of switched over from triplets fine liners, and I did get the Stabilo fine liners, and they just seem to have a lot more ink. You're buffering? Oh, I'm sorry, Anne. Is anybody else buffering? Oh. All right. Uh-oh. Oh, no good here. Oh, I thought you meant like it was no good where you're at, Chai. Okay. Oh, Anne, I'm sorry. I don't know. Never know why all that happens. I got all nervous because I was looking when I was coming back to possibly do some streaming. At one point, I was looking at videos to remember how to stream, and they kept talking about needing an encoder and all this. And boy, those things were expensive or whatever. And I was like, oh, I don't have an encoder. And I was like, but why does my webcam just work? And I mean, it's not crystal clear. I wish it was better, but at the same time, it's been doing fine. And then I realized like, oh, because a webcam is already digitizing or whatever. But it's like to do all these videos, it's amazing the technology I've had to know at this point, you know, and I don't even understand what I'm doing. I just kind of like, I Google the heck out of everything. That's mainly what I get. Just have to Google and Google. So yeah, so the blender's working great with the Stabilos too. Interesting. See, this is why we do this. If we were all sitting around my kitchen table, you guys probably would tell me, hey, look, you can do it with a blender, you dork. But y'all are so polite here. Nobody did. But I figured it out, so I'm happy. Now I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of gray here at the bottom of this and start using it to kind of add a shade. Oh, look at that. Look at the shadow in there. Nice. Okay, let's work on the road because I haven't done the road. I'm so excited about this whole blender thing now. I just want to do it all over. But that's another thing. But again, it's working and is so blendable because of the wax that I've already put down with the Prisma. That is like the key, getting that to the right level. Okay. How you doing, Anne? Is it improved? Via the cog. I'm impressed, Elizabeth, that you know that's a cog. You know, I only learned recently that little settings thing, that it's called a cog, which I think is hilarious because that's so old-fashioned. And here we are with high technology. You would think we wouldn't use the term cog, but hey, but cogs were very, very important in Victorian times. All that Industrial Revolution, many cogs were going on. All right. So again, if anybody just popped in, I am not using my Tombows directly onto the coloring page. There is about, what do we say, probably 6 or 7. I have, thank you, Elizabeth. 6 or 7 layers prior to doing this right here and doing the Tombow thing. So I'm really pretty happy so far with this. Okay, try to get it over here. You know what? I'm going to flip this out so that it can lay a little flatter. There we go. So again, as far as going through and doing, I'll probably mess with the sky a little bit more. Largely, I think I need more layers and then go back in with some more of my Tombos. But I think for this page, I'm getting really close to being finished. I might dull this down a little bit. It is a little bit harsh. And the way I would dull it down is literally by going and getting kind of more of my browns and my like my moss and my marine greens and things like that. So like coming in with this moss green and going ever so gently. And now that it's dry, as I showed you before, I can just color away on it. And what's neat with grass is there's going to be bumps and things. So all the little shadows that you put in starts making it look a little bit more natural. But I think it needs to be toned down a little bit. It's a little bit too limey green, too neon-y for me. And then I want to, there's a couple shadows in here that to me seem pretty harsh. So, and that's probably what I'll be doing is just keep coloring those as I go along. All right. So just again, kind of as a recap, we've used tons of Prisma Premier, and then we did a layer of, and went in with our Tombos. Again, let it dry, and then you can get more and more of a shade and shadows that you can see here in like suits and tons of all the different clothing that I'm doing here. I've also had to keep track of the coloring for the faces so that his face has the same color combination as he does later on. I keep track of everything on my little sticky notes. And then this one is a lovely one for me to pick up and just take with anywhere I want to go. So you guys might see this periodically. I might show another picture, or at least on my Instagram. So like this one is really close to being absolutely finished. I really want to go in and deepen the shadows and stuff on the rocks, because this is at night, so this should be really, really dark. But I'm so glad you guys were okay about me doing something like this. It has been a lot of fun doing it, and you guys have been obviously always fantastic. And I'm going to go ahead and call it an evening. So thank you so much, Elizabeth. You are more than welcome. Everybody watching, thank you. And I hope that you have a good rest of your weekend if you have any left. If you guys are really late, you better go to bed. Who is coming up next after me? Oh, I'm not going to look, because if I do, does anybody know? It's not, no, who is it? Can somebody look on the thing? And then, and if anybody wants to pop in there, the address for the next individual that's on our colorathon, that would be great. Again, you guys are so welcome. Thank you so much for sticking with me. All right, let's see. So, oh, it's Nick and Tina. They come up next. Okay, great. So you guys hop over to Nick and Tina, say hi to them, and have a great rest of the evening. And again, thank you so much. I'm so glad I could participate. And I look forward to streaming next month for Spooktober. Hey, I bet Nick and Tina are going to know a lot about Spooktober. They'll probably talk about it, I would think. So have a good night, everybody. Oh, link. Well, I know it's Nick and Tina Colors. So, Anne, you could put that into the YouTube search thing. But I don't have their link. And if I go look where I have their link, I'm scared I'm going to knock myself completely out and mess this all up, because you're welcome. Sorry, Anne. You guys have a great time. Bye.